our robust due diligence measures, and also the unique needs and motivations of prospective applicant investors. And the nutmeg, the spice that is synonymous with our land, our people, and the passionate way we work, live, and play. Our unequivocal signal of the central importance of investment migration to the social and economic development of our people. Access to a myriad of opportunities, including enhanced mobility, stability, investment, industry, lifestyle change, or simply peace of mind, all of which make Grenada a compelling proposition for prospective applicants. Our new brand represents our promise to our clients, our stakeholders, and the public that will continue to offer investment migration pathways that are rooted in integrity, security, and prosperity. Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, CIU, prides itself on its commitment to excellence. Since its inception in February 2014, it has assisted thousands of clients achieve their citizenship and investment goals. As we celebrate our 10-year anniversary of providing this service to a growing global market, both the CBI Committee and the CBI Unit have given careful thought to how we can develop a new brand identity that embodies our program's growth, robust due diligence, and our dedication to providing exceptional service. This new brand also reflects the strategic importance of investment migration in the national development story of our nation. Today, we are pleased to announce the launch of our brand new identity, a milestone that marks a new chapter in our illustrious journey of facilitating and promoting investment migration. Our new brand identity combines the thumbprint, a universally understood symbol of biometric identity, uniqueness, and safety, a reference to core features of citizenship, our robust due diligence measures, and also the unique needs and motivations of prospective applicant investors, and the nutmeg, the spice that is synonymous with our land, our people, and the passionate way we work, live, and play. Our unequivocal signal of the central importance of investment migration to the social and economic development of our people. To create a memorable brand feature for this new chapter of our role in investment migration. Crucially, we have changed our name. From today, we say goodbye to the brand Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, and we welcome our brand new identity, the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, or IMA Grenada for short. Our new brand comes with a clear invitation to applicant investors to unlock the possibilities. We see ourselves as providing access to a myriad of opportunities, including enhanced mobility, stability, investment, industry, lifestyle change, or simply peace of mind, all of which make Grenada a compelling proposition for prospective applicants. Our new brand represents our promise to our clients, our stakeholders, and the public that will continue to offer investment migration pathways that are rooted in integrity, security, and prosperity. Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, CIU, prides itself on its commitment to excellence. Since its inception in February 2014, it has assisted thousands of clients achieve their citizenship and investment goals. As we celebrate our 10-year anniversary of providing this service to a growing global market, both the CBI Committee and the CBI Unit have given careful thought to how we can the thumbprint, a universally understood symbol of biometric identity, uniqueness and safety, a reference to core features of citizenship, our robust due diligence measures, and also the unique needs and motivations of prospective applicant investors, and the nutmeg, the spice that is synonymous with our land, our people, and the passionate way we work, live and play. Our unequivocal signal of the central importance of investment migration to the social and economic development of our people, to create a memorable brand feature for this new chapter of our role in investment migration. Crucially, we have changed our name. From today, we say goodbye to the brand Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, and we welcome our brand new identity, the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, or IMA Grenada for short. Our new brand comes with a clear invitation to applicant investors to unlock the possibilities. We see ourselves as providing access to a myriad of opportunities, including enhanced mobility, stability, investment, industry, lifestyle change, or simply peace of mind, all of which make Grenada a compelling proposition for prospective applicants. Our new brand represents our promise to our clients, our stakeholders, and the public that will continue to offer investment migration pathways that are rooted in integrity, security, and prosperity. Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, CIU, prides itself on its commitment to excellence.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will start with a prayer by Rachel Braffett.
Good afternoon, all, and thank you for standing. Shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here this evening to discuss investment migration, a sector critical to our island's development. Guide our conversation and our exchanges. Help them to be fruitful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good afternoon, all, and welcome to this important symposium on investment migration, a subject of great relevance to our country, Grenada. I am Margaret Wilkinson, an attorney at law and also a person within the immigration industry, and your host this afternoon. As we gather together, we aim to address and discuss the multifaceted aspects of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program, an initiative that has significant implications for our nation's economic development and global standing. Grenada's Citizenship by Investment Program managed by the Investment Migration Agency, has been a cornerstone of our economic strategy, attracting international investors and fostering development within our country. However, it is recognized that there are numerous concerns and misconceptions about the program, especially regarding citizenship and the integrity of our passports. Today's symposium is dedicated to dispelling these myths, providing clarity on how the program operates, its benefits, and the stringent measures placed to ensure it aligns with our national interests. We are privileged to have with us experienced and responsible representatives from the industry who will share their insights and experiences. We have Mr. Thomas Anthony, to my right, my furthest right, CEO of the Investment Migration Agency. He will provide us with the details on the operational intricacies with the rebranding of the Investment Migration Unit. We have Mr. Richard Duncan, OBE, Chairman of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Committee. He will provide us with a global overview of the CBI program and its benefits for Grenadians. We have with us Ms. Esther Nayak Alexis of Grenada Investment Partners, a local agent under the program, and she will share practical insights on the role of the local agent. Your participation is crucial. We encourage you to ask questions, voice your concerns, and engage in this dialogue. Together, we can ensure that Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program remains robust, transparent, and beneficial for all. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion. Our first panelist today would be Mr. Richard Duncan, OBE. Richard Duncan holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics and Accounting from the University of the West Indies and a Master's of Arts degree in Public Administration from Carleton University. He's also a fellow Chartered Professional Accountant and a Fellow of the Chartered Governance Institute of Canada. Richard's 40-year career spanned public finance management and banking. His involvement in the investment migration space started in 2013, with an emphasis on risk management and compliance from a bank's perspective. He has been chairman of Grenada's CBI committee since July 2022. I now introduce Mr. Richard Duncan. I invite Mr. Richard Duncan to speak to us on the topic, Global Overview of the CBI Program and its Benefits for Grenadians.
Thank you very much, Margaret, and fellow members of the panel, good evening, and also good evening to the listening and viewing public, and to you, the audience here. So I will attempt to share some information, share some perspectives on the topic, and your questions, comments, and feedback obviously will help to enhance the discourse. So the way in which I'm going to approach the topic will be basically looking at, okay, so we'll start off by looking at the concept of investment migration. We'll look at how it evolved and the current space that we have. We'll look at the common myths, about 4 or 5 of them. We'll speak about what's the reality with citizenship by investment. We'll look at the ranking of the programs globally, and of course, we'll take a peek at the market for CBI and of course, its future growth. And the pathways or the routes to becoming a citizen under the program will be explored. But before we get into the myths, I think we would want to spend a little time and agreeing that the movement of man from one space to the next by whatever means available to him then is not new. We have agreement on that. We also can agree that paying a sum of money to become a citizen of a country is also neither new nor recent. And on that basis, I've been tutored by my colleague, and I will take you to Acts 22, verses 23 to 28. As they were shouting and throwing off the cloaks and flinging dust into the air, the commander ordered that Paul be taken into the barracks. He directed that he be flogged and interrogated in order to find out why people were shouting at him like this. As they stretched him out to flog him, Paul said to the centurion standing there, "Is it legal for you to flog a Roman citizen who hasn't even been found guilty?" When the centurion heard this, he went to the commander and reported. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "This man is a Roman citizen." The commander went to Paul and asked, "Tell me, are you a Roman citizen?" "Yes, I am," he answered. Then the commander said, "I had to pay a lot of money for my citizenship." So here we are today, 2024, and we are speaking of paying a sum of money to become a citizen of a country. So it has evolved many times over the years. And in our own case, I always argued that if you do not give people information, they will use their imagination. And oftentimes, they imagine the worst of things. So the following myths have crept into the CBI space in recent times. Can I get some juice on the PowerPoint? Thank you very much. 1, we are made second-class citizens by selling passports. 2, only corrupt countries sell their passports. 3, CBI provides cover for crooks and corrupt people. 4, CBI program smells of political corruption. And 5, CBI is selling diplomatic passports. So we have heard all these, what I call myths over the years. So what is the reality? Citizenship by investment can be seen as a form of investment migration. So investment migration is a broader term, and under investment migration, you can have citizenship by investment, you can have residency by investment, and other, combination and permutations inside there. And it's really an avenue where citizens of one country, in return for investing in a second country, becomes a citizen or becomes a resident. It is not the mere selling of a passport. By being a resident of a particular country, you are entitled to certain rights and privileges, and certain obligations are, imposed on you. By becoming a citizen, it's the same thing. You have certain rights and privileges, and of course, owning a passport is just one of those. And there are scores of countries over the world, right, that have various investment migration programs. And the USA, for example, have the AB5 program. They have the Europeans with their program. They have Africa, right, programs in many countries in Africa, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So us in Grenada hold a unique place as island nations among the other 4 countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union with a CBI program. So we have St. Kitts. They were actually the pioneers of the concept back in the 80s. You have Dominica, St. Lucia. You have ourselves, obviously, and Antigua, making up the 5. And we are only a small dot, a small fragment of the investment migration industry. Turkey has the commanding share in excess of 50% of a $15 billion industry. So we, as I say, small players, recent players, but if there are any Rasta men inside here, there's a song that I like, which says, "A slice of Mount Zion is for I, and I want my slice." I think we should aim to get our slice of Mount Zion. $15 billion, right? In a global industry, you need to position yourself to participate. So when we look at the market, you have, during 2021, there were 5.2 million people who became millionaires, all right, giving rise to a total of 62.5 billion millionaires globally. And we all heard about globalization and the blossoming of capitalism, the growing middle class, throughout the world and so forth. And these people are rich, high net worth, and ultra high net worth individuals who, for them, mobility is a major asset that they would want to have. And that is so for various reasons. And therefore, we need to dissuade ourselves into believing that these are poor, hungry, struggling people who, some way, somehow, will come to Grenada as a haven to be rescued from some affliction. They are ultra high net worth individuals. In fact, even us here in Grenada, to fork up $200,000 US, the most we could do is to borrow that and to build a house. These are people who could fork that up in a jiffy and, secure the mobility as part of the portfolio of what would I say, things that they want in life for quality of life and their own standard of living. So China alone, for example, has 6.2 million. India, right, 769,000 and growing. Russia, 386. Nigeria, around 15,400. So the space across the globe is pretty diverse from one continent to the next. And I would say we have not put the USA here, but the CEO, I guess, will point out that an emerging market for mobility is, in fact, the United States of America. And some people in the CBI space are backing a particular candidate so that, more and more people can be interested in the US in, the CBI programs in the region. Having said that, the question arises, who applied for the program, right? Where are our source markets? You might not be able to see it clearly, but I could point out here, if my eyesight permit, that it doesn't permit. Russia between 2014 and 2023 accounted for 42% of our market share. Then you have places like Nigeria, 10%. You have India, 2%. China, 21%. So it's a pretty, wide but dominant spread. China following in close second after Russia, maybe half of what Russia had. So 42 for Russia, 21 for China. And here we are pointing out that you have 5,273 applicants during that period. An applicant is an individual who might have a family of 2 or 3. So really and truly the number of citizens, right, who would have applied and been granted citizenship in the Grenada case is close to 10,000 citizens in the CBI space. All right, between 21, 22, and 23, you would see there's a big shift. And this is an important part of the shift because here we have Russia growing in dominance between 2021 and 2023. So there used to be 19% in 2021. They are now 75% in 2023. And that's because of the special situation with the Ukraine war. So if you want to become a citizen, there are three main options that you have under the Grenada legislation that was passed in 2013. We call it Section 10, Section 11, and Section 11A. Section 10 is simply straight up. You make a donation to the National Transformation Fund of $150,000 and, following all the necessary due diligence processes and security checks, the CEO would explain how that happens. You can be approved for citizenship by the program. Section 11 requires you to invest in a development project, and we have had several of those over the years. Some have succeeded, some have partially succeeded, and one has not gotten off the ground at all, even though funds were paid into them. And this is one of the dark spots or the black eyes, or black eye on the program, as it were. And you could make a significant investment in an enterprise of your own, not within a project, not to the government, but your own enterprise, and you can become a citizen, or eligible to become a citizen, as we have pointed out. So having spoken about the myths, the realities are quite different. First of all, persons gain the citizenship under the program have no more rights or no fewer rights than you who are born here. So you do not become a second-class citizen. They have no more rights than you, nor do they have fewer rights than you do. They are citizens, simpliciter. Granting citizenship for a sum of money, right, is part of our own financial setup and architecture, as it is the case with many countries around the world, and we have pointed that out, so we are not in any special bracket. Many capitalist countries, Canada, US, we have named them before, do have their own investment migration program. Third, the rigorous due diligence that we practice under the program preempts bad actors getting in. Again, this year will point out how we go about doing that, but we always caution that none of us want to turn on our TV on BBC or CNN and hear that they pick up Mr. Richard Mohammed or Mr. Richard Knight, a Grenadian citizen, for wrongdoing, which should have been discovered at the time he was granted citizenship. If it's wrongdoing that he has done subsequently, even that we would be disheartened about. So we go the extra mile to monitor post-award to ensure that nothing untoward catches us by surprise. And there are steps that the government can take given the nature of the offense or the enterprise that a person is conducting. In terms of corruption, we have a zero tolerance for using public office for private gain at the CBI committee, and of course we enforce that in the Investment Migration Agency as well. We have our code of conduct and business practice, which we monitor and enforce. And finally, in the CBI space, diplomatic passports are not issued by immigration under that program. I always like to tell people that when you come to diplomatic passports, you go to Botanical Gardens. CBI is located at Burns Point. So just distinguish between the two Bs. We do not treat with such things. And in any event, once the person becomes a citizen, the matter of issuing of passport is not the affairs of CBI, but rather that of Home Affairs and Immigration. So we talk about the investment, we talk about the flows, and I would just like to focus your attention on several projects, talking about the benefits. And while we like to speak about the projects and the revenue and so forth, I believe we had to start with the employment that it creates within the local agents' outfit that we have. There are scores, I would estimate over 120 young professionals who are practicing their craft, and maybe more than 120 because they have those in banking, where they specialize in carrying out the compiling, the assessing, the processing of documentation. They go to special training, conferences, and seminars. So you're actually building out a cadre of professionals under the program, and to me, that is a benefit. At the agency itself, the staffing, right? These people are trained, they go to meeting, conferences, seminars, and so on. They are required by the policies to upgrade themselves and to stay current and knowledgeable. That is a benefit of the program and the industry. And we must not lose sight of that employment creation in the actual, existence of the program itself. In terms of the projects, we are very proud of the Grenada National Resort. This is an artistic impression, if you may, of what is envisioned for Livera, and it is being built out as we speak, right? And I think we have one official from that program who is here. I think Mr. Arong, are you Arong? So Arong is here, right? Give him a round of applause. So he's here at the program, right? So we thank him for coming, right? So right now, this is the equipment containers that landed several months ago for the project site. I don't have any update picture, but they actually have driven several hundred piles, laying the foundation for the construction of the first tower of that project. Kawana Bay, right, stalled project, but remember that has been resolved, and there are new substitute developers who are going to take that project forward. And during construction, these projects create scores, hundreds of construction jobs for skilled and unskilled people. And one of the outcomes of these projects is the now famous dropping of the age to become a D-class driver, because it was really a strain for these projects where you have young drivers who could not, by law and under insurance coverage, drive some of these vehicles and heavy equipment and so forth. So that, to me, is a beneficial outcome of an age-old problem that we've had. God's willing, that project will resume not long from now. 6 Senses that suggests, well, this is, I think, is the pride and joy of the program, because the project is now fully built out and operational, and occupancy continues to increase. In fact, there's a conference here now, or investment mission, and I think they are based at the 6 Senses. This is just another view at dusk. This is at nighttime at 6 Senses. And again, people are gainfully employed. The fishermen are, supplying fish. There's fresh fruits and vegetables from the farmers. And the economic spin-offs are quite clear. Silver Sands Beach House. This is another one that we are very proud of. Right? Here you got a nice aerial shot during construction. Here you have a nice aerial shot again on completion. Now, we like to suggest that CBI is only for big international investors. They are the ones who have primarily taken advantage of the program. But we have the Point at Petit Calivini, which is a local Grenadian developer who has built out this project successfully, right, under the CBI program. So if you take a drive down to Lefebvre Blue and you hang right, you could get to that property. We have Hideaway Luxury Apartments close to SGU. This is it here again, built out by a local developer under the program. You have St. David Agro and Cottages. And this is an artistic impression of that project, and the developer is here with us, so I'd like Dr. Oliver Paul to take a bow. So the projects are not just in St. George's, right? In fact, the biggest and most successful so far is not in St. George's, that's Six Senses, right? And Grand National Resort is not in St. George's, okay? So what you are seeing is a diversification, physically, of the tourism plant. And that has, its own opportunities and challenges because the infrastructure must respond to it, must. And therefore, that's how development, growth, and expansion takes place. Well, we always like to speak of the contribution of the National Transformation Fund and the St. John River flood mitigation. It's a big project that was funded by the program that's in River Road. We know the perennial problem with flooding. We could link it back to climate change, and we could agree that at least under the CBI program, here is one project that has solved or resolved a problem for us which has been exacerbated by climate change, and that is the occasional flooding, loss of property, disruption of business in River Road. We also have the Monkuma Road, which again was a major rescue for the challenge created by the Molyneux land slippage. So we are proud of the contribution made by the CBI program in this regard. I want to thank you for listening. I hope that the snippet I give you is sufficient to lead you to conclude. One, the myths of what the CBI is about are just that, myths. The reality and the truth, we continue to discover and explore. The benefits, I think, are quite clear to my mind and to the casual, honest observer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. And I obviously have to dig a little deeper into my Bible now to get some information in there. We have a question and answer section. So at this point, we will move to our second presenter on the program, and we'll take question and answers after. So I now introduce you to Mr. Thomas Anthony. Mr. Thomas Anthony is a former commercial real and investment banker with 26 years of experience working in banking and financial securities sector in Antigua, St. Lucia, and Miami. Thomas served in various roles to include financial advisor, portfolio manager, loan manager, debt recovery manager, investment manager, and wealth manager. Before joining the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, formerly known as the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, Thomas was Project Development Officer, Deputy Chief Executive Officer, and Chief Executive Officer acting of the Antigua Citizenship by Investment Unit from 2013 to 2017. Thomas was Global Head ICV, Immigration, Citizenship, and Visa at Exeter, a global governance risk and compliance firm until 2018. He has published multiple articles which cover a range of topics in the investment migration space and is a prominent speaker in this arena. He's also a certified crime specialist, an accredited director, a member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, and fellow of the Investment Migration Council. Mr. Anthony previously served as the Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit from 2018 to 2019, and is currently the Chief Executive Officer of the rebranded Investment Migration Agency, Grenada. Thomas Anthony, CEO of the Investment Migration Agency, will speak to us on operational intricacies within the Investment Migration Unit and the recent rebranding of the Citizenship by Investment Unit. Mr. Thomas Anthony.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Margaret. Good afternoon to the St. David community, those of you in person and those listening and viewing online. Thank you for coming out to be with us while we engage on a topic and an industry that is becoming a significant contributor to Grenada's revenue and GDP. Many of you may not know that last year, 2023, we contributed, I am told, 84% of government non-tax revenue. And we were well north of 30% of total revenue. So that the program on a whole contributed, inclusive of government revenue and revenue to developers, $1.4 billion in 2023. And direct to government was north of $479 million. I say that so that you understand the scale of the contribution that this program makes to government and to the country. And the chairman has made my job a little bit easier in that he has gone through some of the projects, government and private, that are funded by CBI receipts. And I see I'm challenged by the same technology issues? Yes, okay. So this afternoon, I want to share with you some of our thoughts regarding the rebranding so that we moved from the Citizenship by Investment Unit to the Investment Migration Agency in earlier this year. And we'll talk about why that was necessary. We'll talk about the process for applying for citizenship. What is the process we take these applicants through before we make a determination as to whether they should become citizens or not? Who is granted citizenship? The grounds for denial, as we consider the applications, where citizens come from, and the chairman went through some of that, the revenue collection, and where are the money spent. So prior, we were known as the Citizenship by Investment Unit as a function of the Citizenship by Investment Act and the administrative arm of the Citizenship by Investment Committee. As you would agree, the Citizenship by Investment connotes a transactional relationship so that individuals make an investment and they apply for citizenship and it's either granted or denied and they have no other relationship with the country granting the citizenship. And we felt that we wanted to move away from that and to create a platform where we can make other offerings to individuals who are interested in being part of the Grenada story. And so investment migration, therefore, means that we can and will create a residency component of the program. And the conversation now is about the residency by investment component being created so that individuals who may not be interested in becoming a citizen directly after making the investment can come to Grenada, reside for a certain number of days or weeks per year over a period of time, let's say 3 years, paying an annual fee, and then qualifying to become a citizen. So that you will see that immediately it's not a transactional relationship, but one where they are invited to be among us, make investments in other ways, and learn the Grenada ways. One of the other things that we're thinking about as it relates to the investment migration is having individuals who have applied for citizenship having to come to the country before being granted citizenship, to deposit their information, and once that is done, then the citizenship certificate is issued, and they can then use that certificate to apply for a passport. As the chairman said, we do not engage in the passport process. We merely process applications for citizenship, make a recommendation to cabinet. If that individual is granted citizenship, the certificate is issued, and then they can go off and apply for a passport like any other Grenadian. So the rebranding, what we considered, just like the thumbprint is unique to an individual, we felt that the nutmeg, similarly, is unique to Grenada. And you know more than I do that prior to 2004, Grenada contributed was the second largest producer of nutmeg in the world. And that spice has become an important aspect of Grenadian culture and its cuisine. And so we felt that to combine the uniqueness of the thumbprint with the uniqueness of the nutmeg to produce our brand mark was a good idea. And you can see elements of the thumbprint repeated in the nutmeg, and so it was an easy decision to make. Hence, the brand mark is a combination of both. And as I said earlier, we are now IMA, or Investment Migration Agency, Grenada. And the Unlock the Possibility, we believe, is a call to action for those individuals who are considering becoming citizens of a country. And this gives them the idea, the understanding that there are many possibilities that you can unlock by becoming a Grenadian citizen, such as global mobility. You may know that the passport affords travel to more than 140 countries without having to go through a visa process. And this is one of the attractions of the program, quite frankly. And so individuals with passports that may allow for travel to 75 countries would see the attraction in having a Grenadian passport. So hence, call to action, unlock the possibilities. This year is the first time that the agency is directly engaging with the market. Prior, the marketing and promotional effort was left largely to marketing agents and to a lesser extent the local agents as well as developers. And so they had the opportunity to create the narrative. And we decided that it is the agency's responsibility to create the narrative, to manage the narrative, to tell the story, and to be in the marketplace engaging with stakeholders, such as marketing agents, but also the opportunity to engage with individuals who are seeking second citizenship. And so the committee agreed and approved a sizable budget to allow us to do that. And we were able to afford such a budget because, as I mentioned prior, we had significant revenue in 2023. And we can talk about why that was so, but I'll leave that for the Q&A to see whether you have an interest in engaging on that particular topic. But just to say that we're not just going to the planned industry events, we are doing two other things. We're creating our own events in the source countries, but we're also going to non-industry events. Again, to engage on a B2C basis rather than a B2B, which is what the industry largely is. And B2B, by that I mean, when we go to these planned industry events, we're talking to marketing agents. Going to these non-industry events, we will be speaking to individuals who are high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals who may be in the market for a second citizenship. And the chairman mentioned earlier that the US market is emerging as a significant market. As a matter of fact, one of the major marketing agents for the Grenada program has indicated that in 2023, most of their applicants for programs globally came from the US. And we can all surmise why that may be so. Some people hate Trump. Some people don't like a Biden administration. And some people are running from the security issues as the gun violence is taking hold in many areas previously not so. So there's a significant uptick in interest coming out of the US. So here we talk about what's the process as we determine who becomes a Grenadian citizen. So we have these licensed individuals that we refer to as international marketing agents or local agents, such as Esther, who will speak to you in a minute. And there are also the approved developers. And in this mix also is the bank. And currently, the only bank accepting receipts, CBI receipts, is the Grenada Cooperative Bank. So before a client gets to the agency, there are several layers that they must go through. First, the interaction is with the marketing agent. And the marketing agent is an agency and individuals that we issue a license to after putting them through a robust due diligence process. And I will talk about that process in a minute. The due diligence process is the same for marketing agents, local agents, developers, and applicants of the program. As I said, I'll talk about that in a minute. But the interaction is first with the marketing agent. And the marketing agent conducts some minimum KYC on those individuals to make a determination as to whether they will engage with them. Once they would have decided that they will engage with them, they then pass them on to the local agent, who also conducts some KYC on those individuals to determine whether they will onboard them. Once that decision is made, the application is then submitted to the bank. And again, the bank conducts its own KYC and make a determination as to whether they will receive funds from those individuals. If the answer is yes, or if the answer is no, the application never comes to the agency. If the answer is yes, then an application is submitted to the agency with additional documents to those which would have been submitted to the bank for consideration. And we'll talk about some of those in a minute. So you can see that before the application even gets to us, there are 3 levels of due diligence that would have been conducted. But once the application gets to us, and I believe we should go to the next slide, thank you. So once the application gets to us, we engage in a due diligence process that looks like this. And perhaps the next slide, if you don't mind. Okay, so I'll talk you through it. So we engage with the Financial Intelligence Unit, who in turn engages with the Joint Regional Communications Center, which is located in Barbados. And in a nutshell, the Joint Regional Communications Center is a sub-agency of CARICOM Impacts. CARICOM Impacts has responsibility for border security and national security across the Caribbean, not just CBI countries. We also engage with international due diligence providers who conduct investigation on these clients. And the investigation that is conducted by the international due diligence provider includes desktop research, but it also includes human intelligence on the ground in the country where they live or would have lived for a year or so or more over the last 10 years. And if there is cause to go back beyond the 10 years, the international due diligence provider will also do that. There's a requirement for applicants to provide their work history, for example, going back 10 years, to provide their address history going back 10 years, to provide a police clearance certificate from every country that they would have lived in for a year or more over the last 10 years. So I think you can see that if a crook or a criminal or a fraudster wanted to hide from the law, this is the last place you would go, because we are doing research on you in every single country you would have had a footprint in for a year over the last decade. And for the FIU, as I said earlier, the FIU utilizes the services of the Joint Regional Communication Center. The Joint Regional Communication Center has at its disposal significant assets so that they have connections with other border security agencies, with intelligence agencies, with law enforcement agencies, Interpol, Europol, the US intelligence system, the US, European Union, the UK, and the Canadians, they have a seat at JRCC as they are partners in this enterprise. They contribute from a revenue perspective and a technical perspective to the operation of the Joint Regional Communication Center. And we do not make a decision until and unless the FIU comes back with a cleared report. Where the FIU determines that the applicant is not cleared, it's an automatic no. Where an individual is found on a sanctions, international sanctions list, the answer is no. So again, it's a very rigorous, robust process to determine who becomes a citizen. Currently, our denial rate is about 4%. And it's probably higher. That number is from last year. And I'll do some work to come to the public with the current number. But last year, we denied 4% of the individuals who applied for citizenship. Can we go back to that slide? Let me speak to that for a minute. So these are some of the reasons that an individual would be denied. Did you provide false information? And we discovered it in the due diligence process. If the answer is yes, you're denied. Where you would have committed a crime and you've not received a pardon, and the penalty would be 6 months in prison for an equivalent offense in Grenada, you are not eligible. Where you are under criminal investigation, where we consider that you are involved in activity likely to cause disrepute to Grenada, you are not eligible. If you've been denied a visa to a visa-free partner, such as the UK, the Schengen area, you're not eligible to apply, unless you would have successfully reapplied for a visa in that country. If you've been denied in another Caribbean CBI program, you are not eligible. We can flip to the next. And these are some of the questions that we ask on the application. And I'm not going to go through all of them. This is information that can be made available to you. As a matter of fact, it's available on imagrenada.gd. Yes. And so if you answer no to some of these questions, and we discover that it's an untruth, then you will be denied. I'm sure you don't want me to read through these questions, right? But you see, number 10, have you been denied citizenship in another country, for example? And Chairman alluded to this. 12,354 individuals have been granted citizenship over the life of the program. And the map here shows where applicants would have come from. So pre-2022, we know what happened in February of 2022. And so a few months after that started, the programs available to Russians globally shrunk from 25 or more programs, CBI and RBI programs, to just 5 programs. And at one stage, Grenada being the only country in the Caribbean to accept Russian applications. And so we saw a flood of applications as a result, hence our 2022 and historic 2023 revenue performance. And we see post-2022, the uptick in the Russian number. So from 10% to 46%, and I believe it was more than 70% share that you indicated is the current number. The next slide. Again, the revenue. So we can see from 29, $118 million, this is EC dollars, by the way, to the 2023 number of $383 million. This is just the revenue receipt directly to government. No, go back, please. The revenue receipt to government does not include, as I said, the investment into projects. This is just revenue receipt to government. And Q1 2024, we're already over $113 million. Go ahead. So where the monies are spent, the chairman did a really good job of pointing out some of those projects from a government perspective, as well as some of the approved projects into which investments flow. But these are some of the areas where the National Transformation Fund money is spent. And you can go to the next slide, please. Again. Again. And so I want to thank you for your attention. And really, the effort here is to be transparent and accountable. After all, you want to see those? Go back, please. Yes, so you want to see from the first of those slides. Yes. Okay, you can leave that up. And then we'll be instructed as to when to move to the next one. But really, this effort is to engage with you, to be transparent and accountable. We have nothing to hide. The program contributes significantly to the Grenada's development in many ways. As I said, we'll be instructed as to when. But thank you for your attention. We want to allocate as much time as possible for Q&A so that you get your questions answered. Thank you again.
Thank you, Thomas, for giving us that information. We now know where the money goes. So I introduce our third panelist, Ms. Esther Nayak Alexis of Grenada Investment Partners, a local agent under the program. Esther is going to speak to us about the practical insights on the role of the local agent. Esther Nayak Alexis is an entrepreneur, owning and managing various companies. She is also the owner and Chief Executive Officer of Grenada Investment Partners, INC. Mrs. Nayak Alexis holds various qualifications in law, project management, risk and compliance, and has over 20 years' experience working with immigration, residency, and citizenship planning, including working with various roles in crime intelligence, organized crime specialist, risk and compliance manager, UK immigration case worker, Homeland Security Policy Advisor, legal advisor, and executive in Judicial College in various countries, including the United Kingdom, Grenada, Portugal, and countries in Europe. Mrs. Alexis has a successful, varied career with many years' business experience in both the public and private sector in the United Kingdom, bringing with her extensive knowledge and experience of the Grenada CBI program, ensuring the optimal effectiveness and efficiency as a local agent. She possesses excellent communication skills, a keen eye and knowledge of the CBI compliance, along with in-depth knowledge of international immigration legislation. Ms. Esther Nayak Alexis.
Thank you, Margaret. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out tonight and spending time with us. I'm sure you could be elsewhere. So I just want to thank you for being here with us tonight. Also, thank you, Thomas, for making my life a little bit easier with the presentation, because you covered some of my content. So my name is Esther Nayak Alexis, and I'm here speaking in the capacity of a licensed local agent for the Grenada CBI program. I will talk through the role of a licensed local agent. I guess this is not working, so again. So the aim of this presentation is for you to go home today knowing more about the role of a licensed local agent in the CBI program, be better informed about the application process, and have a clearer picture of the due diligence involved. You can skip. Okay, so I am a Grenadian, a very proud Grenadian. I love my country and the people of Grenada. I'm guided by our coat of arms, which speaks to ever conscious of God, we aspire, build, and advance as one people. It is this that inspired me to become a licensed local agent for the Grenada CBI program. You ask yourself, why? Through the program, we, Grenada, is able to build and advance together. This is through the National Transformation Fund or real estate projects to build our local economy, create more opportunities for Grenadians, and show the world our beautiful island. This is why I take my role as a licensed local agent seriously, to ensure only those with the right intentions to progress through the CBI process. So how do we do this? To be able to be a part of the program as a local agent, we must be licensed. Thomas touched earlier about the robust due diligence process. So ourselves would have to go through a due diligence process. This ensures that the local agent is not at risk of compromising the integrity of the program. We are governed and abide by strict acts and legislation put in place to ensure our practices are ethical, legal, and transparent. We are held accountable by the government and the CBI program. If we do not demonstrate these, we'll be ineligible for a license and unable to practice as a local agent. Some of the acts and legislations that we comply in order to participate in this program are the CBI legislation, Proceeds of Crime Act, Anti-Money Laundering, and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act. You can move along. So our duty to Grenada, now that you have an idea what is expected from us and our conduct as a local agent, we can now look at our duty towards Grenada. As previously said, my role is to ensure the right people with the right intentions apply for Grenadian citizenship. Local agents are part of a multi-agency team working together under the CBI program to draw foreign investment and global talent into Grenada to help towards long-term economic growth. Our program has a very rigid and thorough due diligence process that consists of multiple layers. We could say 5 to 6 layers, with each layer being more enhanced as the applicant progresses. It is us, the local agent, who performs the first layer of checks. We must ensure that the applicants are of good character with demonstrable history of their funds being from a legitimate source before the funds enter Grenada. Each applicant has to explain why they want citizenship with Grenada, and we cross-check all information stated in the application documents with their supporting documents. These documents, as a requirement, have to be notarized by a notary public, and the notary public must reside in the same jurisdiction where the applicant is physically located for the documents to be physically presented to the certifier. It is only when an applicant has satisfied the checks outlined we allow them to progress onto the next stage, which has further checks that are more in-depth. Our initial checks are strict, and as a result, not all applicants make it through to the first stage of the application process. Can change. So I'm going to talk through the stages that are listed there: the onboarding, risk analysis, documentation, the bank, IMA Grenada, and post-approval. I'll try not to bore you too much with the processes. So if we speak of the onboarding process, you can change. So we first want to know, who are you as the potential applicant? We get to know our customers, and as part of the onboarding process, this will determine whether we, as local agents, want to do business with the applicant or not. It is us, the local agent, where the CBI process is first initiated. We are the first to receive an application from somebody wanting to apply for the Grenada Citizenship by Investment program. And as part of our legislation, IMA Grenada cannot receive an application directly from a potential applicant without first going through a licensed local agent. Again, this allows us to communicate and get to know our clients better when reviewing their application. I like to view our role as being the initial barrier or gatekeeper between the applicant and the IMA Grenada. So once we receive the application from the marketing agent, we would have the first opportunity to decide whether that potential applicant is somebody who meets the criteria and are eligible to apply for the program, and whether we also want to work with that applicant. So we would receive personal information about the applicant, and we would ask some screening questions to ensure they're eligible to apply. Next slide. So we would do a risk analysis, which entails, as part of the process, each applicant is risk assessed. This will determine whether the potential applicant is low, medium, or high risk. The potential applicant will also provide the biodata of their passport and some personal information, such as their date of birth, occupation, companies they own, and we would complete checks on the information that has been provided. We would use databases that are well-trusted and used worldwide to conduct an initial check on each individual. The information will show hidden alerts, threats, if they're on a sanction list, if they have committed any crime. Right at the onset, generally speaking, we could see that information. This allows for further scrutiny of the individual to be completed to determine if we want to go ahead and process the application. As a local agent, we want approvals and not denials, which is why we take on clients who are suitable for Grenada. No local agent wants to be known as the local agent that has denials for their applications. For example, if the applicant has committed a crime and they're eligible to apply because our legislation does not allow criminals to apply for the CBI program, we would not onboard that client. Once we agree that we will proceed with the client, with the marketing agent, we then proceed to the documentation aspect. So applicants must provide a full application package which includes completed and signed CBI forms. Some forms must be witnessed by a commissioner of oath, and they must provide supporting documents that are notarized by a notary public. Documents such as a birth certificate, for example, a marriage certificate, proof of source of fund documents, which includes bank statements, company financials, basically all the information that they can prove with the information that they're saying on the forms. We go through every question on the forms thoroughly to ensure the information matches what is stated on the CBI forms. So for example, if somebody's name is called Esther Charles, but on the birth certificate it says Esther Ann Charles, we would go back to get that form amended so that it matches exactly what's on the birth certificate. If we see omissions, we ask the client to complete the information. For example, if the client was denied a UK visa, we cannot proceed with the application because our legislation states a client is ineligible to apply for the program if they were denied a visa from a country that we have visa-free access to. Once we're satisfied that the application documents are in order, we will issue an invoice with the government application fees and the local agent fees before the application is submitted to IMA Grenada, and the funds must pass through the bank in Grenada before we can submit the application. So the bank process, after we onboard and we form the relationship with the client and we go through the documentation, some of that application documents package go to the bank so that they themselves can independently conduct their own due diligence on the applicant before any funds are sent to Grenada. The bank process involves independent due diligence checks, which includes source of wealth and source of funds clearance. As local agents, we have to interact with the bank, provide the required documents to help try get our clients bank clearance. If the bank does not clear the application, the funds will not be allowed to enter the bank in Grenada, and therefore the government cannot receive the application, IMA Grenada cannot receive the application, and the due diligence fees, nor I as a local agent can receive my payment either. So if the application is denied by the bank, this applicant cannot proceed further for Grenada citizenship. And I think that's a very important point to make, that it would have gone through 3 layers already, and if it stops at the bank stage, it does not proceed further. This adds to another layer of rigorous checks that the Grenada CBI program entails. Hiding information is never a good idea. It will become a red flag and it will be found by the bank, so we advise clients up front to disclose all information up front to ensure the application can be considered, and it's just useless hiding information when it can be found even before it gets to IMA Grenada. The bank is a regulated entity and they have laws, policies, and best practices that they have to comply with. So our relationship with the bank does not influence their position to accept or deny any applications. They are also audited, so they need to ensure they comply with their regulations and national standards to not jeopardize their banking relationships with the intermediary banks. If the bank reverts for any information, I discuss with the client and ask them to provide the information and supporting documents that the bank requires so that their application can receive bank clearance. Once clearance has been received, we can proceed to receive the government fees and our local agent fees and proceed to submit the application to IMA Grenada. Next slide. So once the government fees are paid and we could submit the full application to IMA Grenada for the processing to start, the application documents are all submitted electronically, thanks to IMA Grenada and their technology upgrades. So IMA Grenada job starts now. Once they have received the application documents, they undertake a review to ensure we have submitted all the required documents that matches their checklist. If we have omitted a document, they will revert for it and allow us a few days to provide the same so that they can start the in-depth due diligence checks. Once they confirm they have everything required, they will issue a letter confirming receipt of the application. As local agents, we aim to get the application documents right first time, as this will ensure efficiency throughout the process. If we omit documents and submit to IMA, they will revert, then we have to go back to the client, and we're frustrated, client's frustrated, IMA is frustrated, everybody's frustrated, slows down the process. So the aim is to provide a full and complete application up front. Once the application process starts processing, this stage is where IMA's team work hard to conduct their due diligence checks to identify and verify information provided in the application, and also confirm that the client is who they say they are, and also they are provided true and accurate information. The clients must also attend an interview as part of the due diligence process. Us as local agents wait during this stage to receive confirmation as to whether the application was approved, denied, or if they need further information to verify some points. Of course, we all want clients to be approved, and we try our best to ensure clients provide the required information to IMA. However, as local agents, we have no control whether Cabinet approves, denies, or asks for more information for an application, nor do we want to be part of that decision-making process to keep in line with the program's integrity. Also, at the same time, as much as I would like to receive only approvals, I do understand why some clients may get denied, and not every application can be approved to ensure the integrity of our program and also to ensure only good applicants with good intentions become citizens of my country. Next slide. So I'm going to talk through the post-approval stage. Once an application has been approved, both myself and the client are happy. With the approval letter that client receives, they have 30 days to pay the investment funds, which is either contribution to the National Transformation Fund or to the real estate project they are investing in. If they're investing in a real estate project, the client needs to provide proof that the investment funds have been sent to the real estate developer's escrow account and the government contribution is sent to the government. If they are investing in the National Transformation Fund, then they will send the funds to the local agent and we will transfer the funds to IMA Grenada. If the investment amount is not paid within 30 days, we will get a warning letter for asking us for the payment. Once the investment payment is received by government, they will issue a letter of receipt, and then the client will need to provide a sworn oath of allegiance before a notary public or magistrate, and then we will apply for the citizenship certificates. So once the citizenship certificates are issued, then we apply for the Grenada passports. And that's the process in a nutshell. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther. That sounds like a lot of work. Yes. So we now have Ms. Carleen Bristol, Deputy CEO, who will do a little bit of giveaways on behalf of IMA and give us a little break and a little relaxation from all that information we have just gathered, because it's a lot of information to absorb within, it was 70 minutes have passed since we've been sitting here absorbing information. And it's a lot. For some of us, it's new. For others of us, we know a little bit about it. So Carleen is here to give us a little relief from all that information. And then I will go into asking some questions of the panel, and we move forward from there.
All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. All right, I know it's a lot of information we put on you here tonight. We're happy that you're here, I must say. So we decided to bring a little goodies for you. It gives you an opportunity to decompress a little bit while you think of some of the questions you want to be asking the panel here. So nothing fancy. We're just gonna, if you turn to the back of your questionnaires, you would have gotten at the door upon your arrival. There are some numbers at the back there. So Ms. James, our operations manager, would assist with. And our first number up is?
Everyone is looking at the back of the forms? I need to be assisted with my glasses. 22. 2. Anyone has that number? Raise a hand.
If I had selected that number, somebody would have said it, it had something to do with the hair, but it's not. I didn't select it. Our next winner.
Okay, I'm stirring. No, let me do it. 30. Verification. By the way, IMA employees, you're not eligible to take part, right? So you shouldn't have a form. Four, 46.
Aha. Right.
How many more?
Two.
Two.
All right. Some people are seeing that it's not going to be them, it's not going to be them, or they're wishing that it's going to be them now. So with the last two.
29. 29.
Is there a fight for the last one? Should we ask a question? Okay, can you just tell me one of the projects, just one of the projects that the government of Grenada, show of hand? You see, you didn't listen for me to finish the question. One of the projects that the NTF, so there goes, a little wisdom came there. He waited for the end of the question. Thank you so very much. And I hope you're ready to ask your questions.
So, whilst you are still thinking on your questions, I have some questions that I am going to ask the panel, and that may lead to other questions, because I have a little bit of heads up on some of the questions. Okay. Mr. Anthony, you get the first question. How long, with all these checks and balances that you have given us, how long has the application process from when the application is submitted to the unit to when an applicant receives citizenship?
Okay, here we go. Yeah. So, you bringing me another? Okay. Thank you. So, ordinarily, we would be processing an application within a 4 to 6 month window of time. But as I explained earlier, we were overwhelmed by the application submission number in 2022 and 2023. And so we are currently, we were previously more than a year processing applications. And we're currently at 8 months as it relates to the 2023 applications, but we are within a 4 to 6 month window as it relates to the 2024 applications, because we made a decision to create 2 tracks so that the 2024 applications are not joining the backlog line. They're being processed as they become available for processing.
Thank you. Mr. Duncan. I know you are just the chairman of the Citizenship by Investment Committee, and you don't make the policy. But do you get the impression that Grenadians are seeing and feeling the benefits from the Citizenship by Investment program?
I don't think that they are to the extent that they should, in that we are only 2 years into informing people, showing people, telling people, first of all, what the program is all about, and secondly, how it is the program impacts the public finances, the projects in terms of government, as well as in terms of the infrastructure development and the private sector projects, hotels mainly, that have been built. A lot of people do not know, for example, that Dr. Oliver Paul has a project, and I might be passing in front of this place every day. Some of them are working as masons, heavy equipment operator, and it does not click. So I think the information is there. We just need to propagate it some more and to have people spread the word, including employees of the Investment Migration Agency, who hitherto did not want people to know where they were working. So if you cannot say where you are working, then the transparency and the information, illumination, shedding the light and so on and so forth, obviously. So we are basically, after 10 years, only 2 years into, where we should be, in my view. Yeah.
Thank you. Esther, I want to ask you, in relation to, you speak of the bank being the first guard. Do you get all of the investment monies, the submission fees, the local agent fees, the marketing fees? Do all of these monies just come in one go once the file is approved by the bank?
So no, the first set of fees after the bank has cleared the file that I can receive would be the government application and due diligence fees and my fees as a local agent. The investment fees get paid after approval and only after approval.
So the bank would not accept. So the bank would not accept all of the monies one lump sum. They take it in tranches.
Yes, correct.
Which is a safeguard. So if an applicant is denied, there's no money for the bank to send back to the marketing agent or the applicant because it never came here.
No, correct.
That is a good policy and a good principle.
And actually, if you ever try to clear funds that from an approval, the bank would say, provide us the approval letter from IMA Grenada, again, ensuring that client is actually approved.
Okay, thank you. Thomas, I see IMA everywhere now. Tonight I see bags given out with IMA brand on it. I actually have one myself from the conference. What is the current sponsorship policy? Because IMA took part in, they sponsored Carifta Games. They are now sponsoring Rainbow City All-Stars. What is the current sponsorship policy for the IMA? And this is a question that came to me this morning. So after the deputy CEO was on the radio speaking about the sponsorship of the various things, that question came. So it is here in the public forum.
So perhaps we should have the deputy CEO answer that question. But in a nutshell, and I'll have her join me with responding. But in a nutshell, our focus is on youth development, yes, education and youth development. So as you mentioned, the steel band, lots of young people, and passing on that cultural experience. We also sponsored Carifta.
Yes.
Yes. There's junior achievers. Am I correct, DCEO? So our focus really is on young people and giving them development opportunities. And Carlene, I'll allow you to come in and provide some more information.
Just really to say that we, I need to stand, right?
Yes.
Just wanted to say that we actually have a criteria. So outside of those being those are the main areas, general areas. But if you were to submit your proposal or for sponsorship, we have a clear criteria in terms of the different areas that you need to be impacting, the value, how the effect it's going to have on a particular group, especially, like I said, our focus for this first year or two, it's really about education and youth development. So those are our main areas, but we have a standard criteria. So I know a lot of the times, when persons conceive an idea or they're thinking about sending in a proposal, persons have misconceptions, in terms of, I may not be considered because it's me. Who said it? One of the soca artists said it. We don't watch face. So we check that against our checklist, against the criteria, and that will determine whether or not a group or a particular proposal is considered for full or part sponsorship by the unit.
Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Mr. Chairman, Richard.
Madam.
There is much talk about losing visa access here, losing visa access there. Can you shed some light on what we are doing under our program to ensure? You have given us a lot of detail. We have received a lot of detail this afternoon on what Grenada is doing. So, is there anything else you can shed light on?
Well, I think the key is that we continue to work with our development partners, as we like to refer to the European Union and the United Kingdom, which are the two principal jurisdictions to which we have, visa-free access. They have raised a number of concerns about the program, and through dialogue and information sharing, we have been able to demonstrate clearly and convincingly that the risk profile of our program is such that we will not or ought not to bring any harm to their security as, visa-free access countries. As a matter of fact, they might talk about security concerns, they might talk about money laundering risk. So we have been able to consistently demonstrate the rigor with which we do our DD, and that has been satisfactory. We continue to lower the risk profile of the program. I think the CEO went through a lot of things that we have been doing over the years, and we still have more things to do. So, for example, we have just, as IMA, been subjected to a risk assessment by the anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing agency in Grenada. And that came out pretty nice. But this information now will feed into the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force and the Global Financial Action Task Force, which will show how well we are doing with those aspects of the program, how we are managing the risk, how we are, to use the word again, lowering the risk profile and the threats of the program being abused by bad actors. And that's a real defense, to our visa-free access.
Thank you. Yes?
Yes. So over this year, the period of this year, I have been, as the applications come to me, I have been recording a particular data point. That is, how many of these individuals, or what percentage, have visas to the Schengen area, to the UK, to the US, and to Canada. Yes. And you would be surprised perhaps to know that the majority of the applicants already have visas in their first passport, right? So many of them are not doing it necessarily for visa-free access. There are other reasons, security reasons, for example, to have a plan B. Or some people just like the idea that they have more than one passport that they can rely on. And you have a really good story that I'm sure you're going to share.
I have 3.
But
I have 3 passports.
this is, I'm compiling this data so that when we engage with these development partners, we can say, well, here's the information. Factually, this is the percentage of individuals who already have visas to your countries, have gone through your visa process.
Wow. That's good.
And one further footnote.
Yes.
We speak about a 4% denial rate,
Yes.
which does not properly describe the rigor of the DD process, because those who are rejected outside in the yard before they get to the gate by the local agent, those are not counted. Those that are refused by the bank, they are not counted. When we talk about denial, we're talking about those that actually reach IMA. DD has been done. We do the assessment and we say deny. That's the 4%. So I think we have to improve our data capture that will better describe, to me, the rigor of our DD process.
And Margaret, sorry, I just wanted to add that personally and from an agency perspective, visa-free access for us is not about whether the program will be impacted, but about whether the community here
That is
will
correct.
be impacted by losing visa-free access. Yes. And so all of that, the things that we do is to ensure that we maintain that access so individuals can visit their families in the UK and in the Schengen area and other visa-free countries.
And I think, well, I know and I observed in the reasons for denial is that even if someone actually go through all the rigor and they pass all these things, if there is a national security risk, Cabinet is still at liberty to say, no, you're not coming to Grenada. You are a national security risk to this country. And I had one such application because the individual was passed everything, had the money, did everything right, but was a declared anarchist. Could you imagine if that person was granted citizenship and came to Grenada and declared the anarchy down here? So the national security point also safeguards us. But I have one for you, Mr. Anthony, as you're on your toes. Okay. Is there ongoing checks and balances on persons that are granted our citizenship?
Yes, that's a definitive yes. So the international due diligence providers, we contract with them to have continuous monitoring of the individuals even after they become citizens. And the Joint Regional Communications Center, which I spoke about earlier, they also engage in continuous monitoring. So that we've had examples where they've come back with a cleared and the individual is granted citizenship. And they come back a few months after with a not cleared. And so the decision has to be reversed. So yes, there is continuous monitoring on the part of the international due diligence provider and the JRCC on our behalf.
And the hour is late, and I want to ensure that our group here get time to ask their questions. So I will ask you one final question. We have something pending. We have seen on the news that there's a pending increase coming for the investment sum. When is that coming? And where is Grenada in terms of introducing that?
So what Margaret is referring to is the Memorandum of Agreement signed first by 4 CBI countries and joined later by St. Lucia, where we have agreed to, among other things, a minimum investment amount of $200,000. So in the case of Grenada, how does that affect us? The investment requirement in Grenada is $150,000 for a single applicant, or $200,000 for a family of up to 4 people. And that is in the National Transformation Fund. To the developer, it's $220,000, and then an additional $50,000 to government. So it means, therefore, that the single applicant category will disappear. And we will now have single applicant up to a family of 4 at the minimum 200,000. Now, this 200,000 will not include the commission. This is the net to government. I can't declare to you what that number is because the SRO has not been published yet. But to say that the $200,000 minimum will apply from July 1, as agreed by the governments of these programs.
Margaret, just let me add here that many people have been concerned about the race to the bottom, where these countries were undercutting each other and basically having the program like, bake sale on a weekend, right? That MOA is designed to put an end to that. So the flooring among all 5 countries is the 200,000 US. You mentioned about the anarchists, and that's an extreme case. We had one case where a lady checked out quite beautifully, right? But had a conviction for stealing handbags. Some people, even though they could buy something, or they could buy the factory that's making it, right? They still would psychologically, help themselves. In Grenada, that offense carries more than 6 months in jail. And on that basis and that basis alone, she has been denied because the law is very clear. If you are convicted for an offense that carries 6 or more months in jail in Grenada for such an offense, we have no choice. So I think that's the level of rigor and diligence that we, carry out.
Well, I have to say congratulations to Grenada because we only adjusting by 50,000. The other islands are adjusting by 100,000 and 100,000 plus because they were so low. Some of them were down to $75,000 for a family of 4 and 100,000 for a family of 4 plus. So Grenada, we kept the ship steering, which is good. Not to delay much longer, I would like to now open to the floor for question and answers. We do have some online questions which Ria and Carleen will address, and we have a mic in the back. So if you can stand by the mic, introduce yourself, then we are ready to move with the question and answers. Yeah, go to the mic.
Hi, I'm Anthony Entwine, local Grenadian.
Welcome.
I have to make one suggestion. If you're trying to dispel the myth of this sort of criminal activity, etc., and all these, that seems to be the most prevalent complaint about the CBI or migration program. I think you should put less of an emphasis on presenting this sort of criminal type of thing to the public. I think things that are of more interest or benefit to us in Grenada, like, for example, the ability of the applicant to contribute to society in Grenada. What is their social profile as opposed to their criminal profile? Not that you give up on the criminal profile in the background, but if we always hearing about the assessment of the applicant from a criminal standpoint, then what else is there for us to think about? We must make different inferences, and one of the panelists said earlier that if you don't have information, you would make conclusions or whatever it is on what you don't know. You'll make your own assumptions. So I will suggest that you put at least from the way you presented to the public, in the background, the criminal sort of assessments, and put more of the the things that are of benefit to us here in Grenada. So social profile, the ability to contribute to society, for example, economically. That is of interest to us as well. The second thing is that I've noticed that there's such an emphasis, there's so much information available from the applicant side, the investor side, the person who is trying to become a Grenadian. What are the benefits to that person? What is the process for them to apply? But I've heard that this program belongs to Grenada. This is our program, Citizens by Investment program. You hear very little information on how we become involved in the program. So even from applying for a job, which is a very, in my opinion, a lower level type of benefit to gain from this program, given the quantum of money we're talking about, right? Why don't we give more information on how a local can become a developer? You know, there's almost no information about that. You have to dig deep. And to me, that's the simplest thing to do, to let us know as individuals who aspire to advance our own lives, how we get involved in these projects. How do I become a developer? I'm already a developer. How do I become involved, get financing through this Citizen by Investment program? Why is it such a hidden thing to me? I know it's available, but yet you have to dig it. Whereas we don't have to dig for information on applicants for a passport. It's right there in our face. All right? So question now. I want to know, to what extent do you hold hands? To what extent do you incentivize local Grenadians, our program people, to participate in this program in a meaningful manner? Not for jobs. I don't need a job. I need to become wealthy of this program because that's our program. Okay? So I'm trying to elevate my life. The elevation for me means wealth, wealth generation. How do I and many other Grenadians become wealthy of this program?
Thank you,
because
Mr.
we deserve it.
Mr. Chairman, you wish to have that question?
No, I could respond, and I would also allow the CEO to do likewise. I think maybe Mr. Oliver Paul may be the best person to answer, because here you have a local developer. I'm not too sure what you used to dig to find the information, but you are successful. We had Dr. Richard Nixon. He is successful, and then we had Point at Petit Calvin. So we had 3 successful local developers on the project. But that said, we do accept, I think from a public policy standpoint, that there is need for what we call a local developer track in the program. And we have done some consultation over the last kind of focus group, 4 to 5 weeks. So we have some formulation and conceptualization along those lines. But I'd like to caution people that once, as a developer, you have investors participating in your project, they have an ownership stake in the project. It is not, like grant money. So if a developer comes in as an equity partner or he's buying into your project and so forth, we need to bear those things in mind as to what the implications are. So we will configure it. My timeline, I would suggest maybe by November, we should have something close to being on the law books as to the rules of engagement for, and then we had to define local, because local in the current configuration also includes Grenadians in the diaspora who, so we have a formulation for that. So it's not just people residing here. CEO?
Well, there are other ways one benefits from the program other than being a developer or being an employee. There are 2 prime examples of that in the room. Local agents, and there are 40 plus local agents, and some have become millionaires. They may be shy about talking about that, but some have actually become millionaires as local agents. And so I joined the chairman in agreeing that Perhaps we have not been provided as much information as we ought to in terms of how individuals can participate in the program, but that is coming. A carve-out for Grenadians is coming. But there are other ways, as I said, such as local agents, and there are 3 marketing agents who are Grenadians living in Grenada, and so they benefit in that way as well.
Mr. Antoine also raised a question about the persons that become citizens. What benefit we as Grenadians can attain from them?
Yes, thanks for jogging my memory. So we are currently embarking on what's called a diasporic desk. So we are creating a position, an officer level position, where we will have a framework for engaging with that CBI, for want of a better word, diaspora, to benefit not just from the initial investment they would have made to become citizens, but to benefit from additional investment in terms of money, but I think more importantly, from their network and their experience. Some of them are specialist doctors, for example. They can come, spend some time here, and impart that knowledge, help to train. So we're looking to develop that framework and hire someone to focus on engagement with the diaspora, to build affinity and to build a relationship with them, so that the relationship is not just the transactional relationship, but that they also contribute in other ways locally.
Any other questions to be raised? Oh, Devon, the gentleman. Jude, yes.
Jude Bernard, and Mr. Antoine touched on one of the areas I was about to raise. Another question I have is about carrying capacity. With the exception of that shrimp farm debacle we heard about, I think it was in Marx many years ago, it will appear that most of the investments are in tourism. I think I heard one of the board members mention last week that they're basically in the area of real estate. Now, what does optimum carrying capacity look like for IMA in terms of that real estate component? We can only have so many hotels. We have a couple that are being developed already. Do we need more? How many more? When would we feel that we have reached or we're nearing carrying capacity, that aspect of the program? Is there an exit strategy, or is there a transitioning strategy to move off that one to other things? In other words, there is a limited lifespan of that part of the program. And for it to continue to be beneficial, there must be other areas. We have not heard enough, as was mentioned earlier on, about how locals can actually be developers. But I think, just as the IDC, I think the agency also needs to have some sort of roadmap to guide agents and would-be investors of some of the fields and the areas that we're looking towards in the future. Because I see that we are nearing the carrying capacity of the main component that we are looking at. It has an impact on real estate prices. It negatively impacts locals who want to own property. And I think that we have to look at it for what it is. And I would like to hear what is the strategy for transitioning to other areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude.
All right, so the Ministry of Economic Development is best placed to guide based on the National Sustainable Development Plan, I guess along with the Ministry of Tourism, to speak specifically, Mr. Bernard, to the question of carrying capacity. But I'm on record, and I'm going to repeat it. The viability of the Maurice Bishop International Airport rests heavily on stopover tourism arrivals. We believe we are into tourism. Go to Barbados, go to St. Lucia, go to Antigua, and you are not. You are not. Go to St. Kitts, one hotel alone in St. Kitts, 900 quality rooms, one hotel. Among all those that we have, can we really count 900 quality rooms? And I'm saying no. So yes, carrying capacity question has to be answered in terms of the, type of rooms and the type of tourism that you want. But I believe that we are still a long way off, but we need to plan. I believe in long-term planning, but there's no need, to my mind, to be overly concerned at this stage. I think what is important too is that nobody has said that developers shall only come to the party with tourism projects. There was an agricultural project, a shrimp farm, right? And any other project could come forward based on the priority sectors by government and GIDC, and if they meet certain criteria for CBI funding, our role would be to support. So I just wanted to make that point to the broad and general debate, but you're spot on.
And to the chairman's point, there was a deliberate effort to focus on the hotel sector, to build hotels, especially in light of the fact that after the 2008 global meltdown, conventional investment to build hotels, renovate hotels, dried up. And so this was an opportunity, and this is across the region, not just Grenada, to attract foreign direct investment, specifically to build out the tourism plant. And so I don't think we're close to that capacity, in my own personal view. But we have been talking about the need for a multi-agency approach to make determinations about what sectors of the economy we want to see the CBI funds flow into, and create the projects, the business plans, and we go shopping for a partner, as opposed to having individuals come to us with their own ideas. So that's something that will happen. I can't say this year. We're pretty busy with processing the volume of applications we have, but it's something on the cards.
Congratulations to the IMA. Any questions from online?
Good afternoon. I'm Devon Matthew, Real Property Real Estate. Both two gentlemen asked my question, but I have a third one. In terms of climate change, we see what happened with the drought season that we had there recently. What sort of plans you guys have in terms of investing in that area? And that's one. And two, there have been a lot of talk about the CBI program going to be closed, pressure from the US and the big country and stuff. Do you foresee that as a challenge going forward?
Okay, so in terms of the climate change and the solution to the, I am, again, not sure or certain.
So if you look at Bathway, right, that reef that we have there, that is all gone, right? And we're doing more investment in that area, so more pressure on those areas and stuff. So are there any plans to invest in those for the community then? If you're going to be invested in Bathway with this big development, are there plans to develop the area for the community and stuff? Like fix those things as an added service?
Well, I'm not sure if I get in your point clearly. I think I said earlier that the fact that the development is diversified, there's going to be extreme pressure on the infrastructure to respond. That's the nature of development. Those of us who are old enough to see what happened to Choblu, Lansapine, and Point Saline, in particular, Montu, Granans Valley, and such alike, with the international airport and with the frequent industrial park and the hotels being built over the last 40 or so years, would get the point that I'm making, that these places will change, and the planning authorities and the government will have to cater for whatever adjustments need to be made to accommodate the well-being of the population drift, in my view, that will eventually occur. As far as climate change is concerned and its impact, again, National Transformation Fund can be used for those purposes, because I don't think there'll be a positive return for a private sector person coming in to such undertakings and endeavors. So if that's where you're going, it will be the role of the state and the use of the NTF for such purposes.
No, what I was saying, that some of the investment that we made for the NTF are like small, very small amounts, you know? And we're not taking on the bigger projects and stuff, the bigger environmental project that could impact those areas.
Well, no, I don't think the River Road flood mitigation project is small. I see a big wall from, Monkuma definitely is not small, right? So again, we have to be fair. And yes, sometimes you might say, well, so even some people are saying, well, I want to build a new hospital. Why not do it by CBI? So everything is CBI. So we have to be selective, I would suggest to the public authorities, and be strategic in where we invest those resources. And they have been doing a pretty good balancing act, physical infrastructure as well as the social infrastructure at this moment. But I think, Thomas, you wanted to come in?
Well, yeah, in terms of sustainability, and you made the point I was going to make, Chair, that there's quite a bit of investment from the government perspective, utilizing the National Transformation Fund to mitigate some of those concerns that you're talking about. The water, the flood mitigation, and all of those kinds of investments are being made from the CBI funds. But I want to caution us, as the chairman just said, about the idea that CBI being the, end all or all encompassing. It's part of. Last year, for example, we contributed about 30% of government total revenue, right? So it's not the solution to everything. It can help, it can assist with some of these challenges we're facing, but we have to be, again, strategic and selective in the way that we utilize the funds.
So, Devon, let's come to sustainability now. I think Mr. Dion Moses here and I, we had that discussion many years back. I always say to people, do not ask how long will the CBI program last. My question to them is, how long do you want it to last? And my position is very simple. Only that which mutates as the environment changes can survive. That's a biological law. Applied to our social context, economic context, unless the CBI program mutates, improves, transforms itself as the pressures and changes take place in the environment, it will not survive. So, you see what we have been doing in terms of the concept of investment migration. So when we talk about people having a better relationship, we talk about diasporic desk. So my concern really and truly is that the 12,000 persons we have there, if I could get, or we could get 10% of them, for example, to invest further in Grenada, to send the kids to school in Grenada, that to me is the downstream benefits of the program. And the fact that the 5 countries now have agreed to have a regulatory authority and a standard-setting authority to better govern these programs to lower the risk profile, to allow these programs to mutate into the future, given what are being demanded of us, it is a good thing. So my view is very simple. Mutate or eliminate. And I think the programs are on a path to changing, transferring, and adapting to the changes out there. So I'm very, very hopeful and confident that not in its current configuration in 20, 30, 40 years, it must change. So we are here.
All right, thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Devon. Yes, we now have a question that would have come in online. Let us hear Caroline will read it for us.
Yes. So we have a question here from a Cassandra Mitchell. The response around sponsorship policies wasn't clear. Does the CBI Act support and direct the type of sponsorship? In its new construct, is the IMA a body, corporate, or a department of government?
I think, Caroline, you would answer this since you addressed the question of sponsorship.
Yes, I can answer the.
Could you stand, please?
I can answer the first part of it in terms of the Act does not speak directly to sponsorship. Sponsorship, as we know, is a part of a wider marketing initiative. And prior to 2023, the unit, then unit, now agency, did not even have a marketing budget per se. So marketing and what we're doing here forms part of that marketing. The PR, sponsorship, those are all elements of marketing. And it's something that's new, so it's more a policy that's developed within the unit, and it's not specifically covered by the Act. The Act does, however, give the committee, as part of its mandate to have an administrative body, which is the agency. It gives us the opportunity to get involved in marketing and sponsorship as part of how we move the program forward. So I hope that better treats with that response, with that question. In terms of the new construct, whether we're a body, a corporate body, or department of government, Chairman, I'll leave that one to you, since the Act speaks to the Citizenship by Investment Committee.
No problem. So in terms of its legal structure and characterization, nothing has changed in law. You would never hear us referring to the IMA committee. There's no IMA committee. The law says a Citizenship by Investment Committee, and that's the construct. The law never provided for a Citizenship by Investment unit by name, and therefore we had the liberty to change the name and the brand. Now, is there some incongruence between IMA as an agency and CBI as a committee? I think there is, right? That, I think, would be resolved in due course. But as it is now, nothing has changed in substance in law with respect to the setup of the program.
So you're an arm of the government, an agency of the government.
Yes, you see, and I always tell people that there's an act, there's a statute that created the CBI committee. So if you're a creature of statute, to me, you're a statutory body. There are different strands and variations. Your governance is provided for in law. Chairman, deputy chairman, member must have these skills, this other member of the committee must have certain other skills, and so all that is legislated. So you are a creature of that statute, and that's how we have to function.
Do we have any further questions from the floor?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andre Joseph. I'm actually with a local NGO called Grenada Land Actors, and I have two questions. One question is, basically, a person before me asked about carrying capacity. Many of the biggest CBI projects here are operated in the most sensitive parts of Grenada, and they are causing a lot of damage. We saw pictures from Levera. The NGO that I'm involved in has actually reviewed the development plans, and the amount of damage being caused to the Ramsar site. Grenada's an internationally protected wetland site. The projected damage is incredibly worrying. Basically, a golf course was approved there without an EIA. There are no mitigation measures in place for how this massive development is going to actually source its water after the massive drought we just went through. I went to a consultation with the Chinese developers last year. They said they were going to take water from the Levra Pond to water the golf course. Looking at plans for the golf course, they're actually going to be developing directly on the Levra beach. Again, where are these new CBI citizens getting the understanding of Grenadian culture to understand the importance of the leatherback turtles nesting in that area? The same thing goes to the Mount Hartman site, which actually there was no mention of. The Mount Hartman University Town and Resort, as it's recently been morphed into. We're celebrating 50 years of independence, and what is the animal we have on the logo? It's the Grenada dove. What is that project doing to protect the Grenada dove? Nothing that we can see. Nothing in the development plans is being done. They're going to be cutting down massive amounts of mangroves in that area. Where's the water coming from again? And where is the understanding of how that project will be impacting the Grenada dove? So that is the first question, understanding the massive amounts of environmental damage happening around some of these bigger projects and how that's going to be controlled going forward. The second question is completely different. It's, we talked about restrictions. I believe we heard earlier in the year about restrictions being put in place by the US in terms of selling passports to Russians. And I'm wondering if that's still going on, if those restrictions are still in place. Are we still selling to Russians during this massive war in the Ukraine? Thank you.
Let me take the let me take the last question first. And this year would come in. This year would come in. Right? Grenada is processing a backlog of Russian applications. If what we are doing was egregious to the US authorities, do you think we would have been allowed to proceed as we are? The facts have been properly established as to how the backlog came about. The data has been provided to all who is interested in it, and we are working our way through the Russian backlog. I've been on record again as saying, we are in no rush to rush through the Russian backlog such that when errors occur, everybody put a, oh, this is what happened. I'm saying the level of rigor must be no less than what we are accustomed to and to do it properly. So that is basically, for our standpoint and our relations with the U.S. been put to rest, as well as our other development partners.
Thank you, Richard.
No, I ain't finished. On the matter of the environment and untold damage, the land is for the benefit of the people, but not by leaving it in its original state. Cannot be. The untold damage done in the construction of the Morris Bishop International Airport is undocumented. Maybe it is documented. But I know we have lost our salt pond. It's the only place when you look on one side of the peninsula, you saw a white sand beach, on the other side, you saw a black sand beach. They met at that end of the peninsula. There's a prize for progress. The question is, how responsible are we today, armed with all this new environmental information and so on, in doing those developments? Are there environmental impact analysis, assessment, mitigating measures, and so on and so forth? Is the Plan and Development Control Authority on top of those things? Are they monitoring and enforcing? Those are things not for the Citizenship by Investment Committee in law or otherwise. So, when PDA is available, that conversation could and should be had with Plan and Development Authority. However, we take an interagency approach to the work that we do. And we will ensure that PDA, that's one part, GIDC, that's the second part, and to a lesser extent, the AG chambers have everything under control. But our part is not with respect to the environmental aspect of it. CEO?
Yeah, to that last point, one of the conditions of approval under the CBI is that you have development approval, right? The physical planning approval. And so, as the chair has said, that's outside of our remit, but we work collectively to ensure that these projects are developed in an environmentally friendly way. As it relates to the processing of Russian applications, we agreed and have stopped accepting applications since the 31st of March 2023. However, that cessation created close to 2,000 applications, and that's what we're working through. So we continue to process the applications already submitted to us as at the 31st of March 2023. And again, we are working through, taking our time, making sure that we cross the T's, dot the I's, so that when we make a decision about an applicant, we would have thoroughly investigated them.
It is now 5:08, so I would allow 2 more questions, if there are questions in the room, if there are any further questions in the room or any further online. Ria or Caroline?
I have one question. Hello, my name is Tiffany. And about the significant investor option, there was a lot of talk about, apart from employment and being a developer of real estate, what's the benefit for Grenadians? What about Grenadian entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting a business, don't necessarily have the funds? How can the significant investor option help with that?
Well, the significant investor option is intended for an applicant to either create their own enterprise or to purchase an existing enterprise, a going concern. So I would imagine that the benefit would be, in that sense, the creation of an entity which can be attractive to a would-be investor in terms of having all of the regulatory requirements, business plan, the feasibility study, and those kinds of things. But the significant investor option is really intended, again, for an applicant rather than buying in an approved project or contributing to government through the National Transformation Fund to either create their own enterprise, or, as I said, to purchase an existing enterprise.
So they could develop a factory or something and have employment. Because based on the guidelines, they have to create employment.
Correct.
A significant investor.
Absolutely. Apart from the capital amount,
yes,
they have to create employment.
Yes. Any other questions? Oh, we have one online from Caroline.
Mention was made of the Kiwana Bay project.
Yes.
What happened to those investors? Well over 500 foreign investors put their money in the project. So they're asking what happened to that particular investment project. What happened to those investors?
So there's a website where individuals, investors, can register their interest directly with government. The Investment Migration Agency does not get involved in that process. Government, as you know, entered into an arrangement to purchase the property and has now leased the property to another developer. But as I said, there's a website. It doesn't come to mind. We will create a link on our website where individuals can register their interest and government will interact with them and make a decision about whether they ought to or ought not be compensated.
Well, that is good information.
Yes, but just I think people, just to say, I don't think people are concerned about whether or not these investors get back their money or not. I think there are concerns as to whether or not they remain citizens of Grenada having a failed project on your hand. And the answer is very simple. The investor is not one responsible for the project failure. And in any event, project failure is not a criteria for depriving a man of his citizenship duly and properly earned. So they remain citizens.
The final question of the evening.
Good night, everybody. Just your chart.
Name?
Your
What is
chart,
the name?
Vaughan Patterson.
Thank you.
Your chart earlier showed a lot of blue and red. It was 40% Chinese, I think, and 30% Russian. Could you shed a little more light on the vetting of the Chinese and the Russians? Just a little details of who these people are, the Chinese and the Russians. Could you?
Yeah, so everyone goes through the same due diligence process, right? We do not have particular due diligence processes depending on where you're from. So as I said earlier, the Joint Regional Communication Center, the Financial Intelligence Unit, international due diligence providers with human intelligence on the ground in China. So they speak the language, they understand the cultural nuances, they interact with the justice system, the legal system. The due diligence process is the same across the board, notwithstanding where you may have come from or originated from. Does that help, or should I?
Well, no, I mean, you're smiling. As I say, I could talk for myself. All I said, none of us on the committee want to turn on our TV on CNN and BBC. And again, so I'm not too sure for the others, but for me. And therefore, right, we take every single pain and effort. I mean, you wouldn't imagine. I mean, there are documents that come through and the DD people could tell you that this document appears to be a fake document. And therefore, if it is fake, it means you are misrepresenting, you are denied an entry fee. We have no appetite, love, or admiration for anything that, as I say, when you turn on the TV, I want to be ashamed of at all. So I just wanted to make that point, that we know these people from the local agents come right up to the top.
And good point here. We actually, well, the DD providers, they actually authenticate all of the documents that would have been provided, the police clearance certificate, employment letters, birth certificate, passport. And by authenticate, I mean that they go to the issuing authority to verify that that issuing authority did issue that particular document. They go as far as to visit the address, the residential address that's reported as the current address, as well as previous address, to ensure, one, that it exists, and two, that the applicant reside at that address. And similarly, they do that for the employer or the company, checking to see that the company exists, that it's an operating business, and that it's located at the address reported. And also, yes, recently, well, not recently, as of September last year, we started to conduct interviews on each applicant 17 years and older. So, and there are two layers to that. One, they interact with an AI tool, which has voice recognition and can rate risk. And then that result, along with the enhanced due diligence that would have been done by the international due diligence provider, FIU JRCC, then determines whether they go to one of two interview tiers. So a tier 1 interview is for someone who is regarded as low risk, and a tier 2 is for those who are regarded medium and high risk. And the objective of the interview is really to close the information gap between what they would have declared in their application and what we would have found in the investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. As we wrap up, I would like to invite all here to visit the IMA website, which is imagrenada.gd. And that website is quite comprehensive and it's informative and comprehensive. So I would invite all to visit the website. And I would like to say, we have had a long evening, but we understood that from the time before we knew ourselves, man wanted to move, and man will continue to want to move for various reasons. We also have paid attention to the fact that Grenada is not joking when they decide you are going to become a citizen. There is the rigorous process, as they say, the robust process, before they grant you the citizenship. Grenada also, apart from that, they have taken control of their marketing. Before that, you would see all sorts of things. I would go onto a website and I would see all sorts of things being said. And I would actually call the agency and I would say, is this true? And everybody in the agency is like, no, no, no. And it is admirable that Grenada has actually taken, the IMA have taken control of the marketing of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program. The local agent, we realize that the local agent and the bank seem to be our gatekeepers because you don't get to IMA without the bank saying you okay or the local agent saying you okay. And I would like to say the questions here this afternoon, the questions particularly the one, well, I don't want to single out one. All of the questions were good, but the question raised about what is going to be done for locals to actually start developing CBI projects is an interesting one. But I would like to answer that by saying you have to have a project that persons want to invest in. So when a local person decides, I want to do a project, it can't be a project that they just love. They would have to do a project that the rest of the world want to love and invest in. So I wanted to respond in particular to that one because I know that the IMA is working and the CBI committee is working towards seeing how they can entice locals to get involved in the investment of doing projects. But we have a little work to do. And in conclusion, I would like to say I think this was a wonderful evening, wonderful participation. Mr. Anthony, Mr. Duncan, Ms. Nayak, Alexis. I have learned a lot from all of you all, and I'm a part of the immigration process. And I would like to say thank you for being wonderful guests, wonderful panelists. And now I call upon Caroline Purcell, the Deputy CEO, to give us the vote of thanks. And after that, we can have a mingle, a tingle, and a jingle because there are some snacks behind.
Good evening again to everyone. And I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that have joined us this evening here at this location. Very happy to see the turnout. And for persons who have joined us on the online platforms, it is with immense gratitude that I stand before you to extend this heartfelt thank you this afternoon. I would also like to say thank you to our esteemed speakers, Mr. Richard Duncan, OBE, our chairman, or dear Mr. Thomas Anthony, our CEO, and Ms. Esther Nayak, one of our local agents, for their shared knowledge and perspectives and contributing to the enlightenment of the investment migration industry. Your insights have certainly broadened our understanding and will guide us in our ongoing efforts. I also extend my gratitude to all the distinguished guests, residents of St. David's, and from across Grenada, wherever you participated from, you're coming from this evening. Your presence here, despite the earlier weather, we got a little worried, I must admit. It underscores your commitment to our learning and engaging with important matters that impact our nation. Your support is invaluable, and we are deeply grateful for your enthusiastic participation this evening. The organizing committee, EME Marketing and Communications, TNR Communications for streaming our services, for your streaming services, all your hardworking staff, and our staff at IMA for your dedication in pulling this third Symposium Series of this evening. I want to say thank you to all our partners and collaborators who have generously supported in various capacities. We also extend our gratitude to you. To our dynamic and most eloquent host this evening, Ms. Margaret Wilkinson, a special thank you to you for carrying us through this evening session. As we conclude this evening, I believe we have taken a significant step forward in our mission. Our goal to enhance public understanding of the Citizenship by Investment program and the broader investment migration industry is an ongoing journey. We are committed to reaching every parish in Grenada and ensuring that every citizen is well informed about these crucial initiatives. As a matter of fact, I can announce here that our next stop will be Carriacou in July. So look out for that. Carriacou will be coming your way for persons listening on the online platforms. So once again, I want to say thank you for being a part of this important gathering. Your engagement and support are vital to us striving for greater transparency, knowledge, and sustainability of our program and for Grenada as a whole. Thank you again, and have a wonderful evening ahead. I just want to add here as well that we have, for the surveys we issued earlier, we would like if you can just leave those with any of our men or ladies in black, any of the IMA staff here, so you can leave it with them. We also have some light refreshments at the back, and please remember to follow our social pages, our social media pages, and our website. So thank you again for being here. Thank you, thank you.
Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, CIU, prides itself on its commitment to excellence. Since its inception in February 2014, it has assisted thousands of clients achieve their citizenship and investment goals. As we celebrate our 10-year anniversary of providing this service to a growing global market, both the CBI Committee and the CBI Unit have given careful thought to how we can develop a new brand identity that embodies our program's growth, robust due diligence, and our dedication to providing exceptional service. This new brand also reflects the strategic importance of investment migration in the national development story of our nation. Today, we are pleased to announce the launch of our brand new identity, a milestone that marks a new chapter in our illustrious journey of facilitating and promoting investment migration. Our new brand identity combines the thumbprint, a universally understood symbol of biometric identity, uniqueness, and safety, a reference to core features of citizenship, our robust due diligence measures, and also the unique needs and motivations of prospective applicant investors, and the nutmeg, the spice that is synonymous with our land, our people, and the passionate way we work, live, and play. Our unequivocal signal of the central importance of investment migration to the social and economic development of our people. to create a memorable brand feature for this new chapter of our role in investment migration. Crucially, we have changed our name. From today, we say goodbye to the brand Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, and we welcome our brand new identity, the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, or IMA Grenada for short. Our new brand comes with a clear invitation to applicant investors to unlock the possibilities. We see ourselves as providing access to a myriad of opportunities, including enhanced mobility, stability, investment, industry, lifestyle change, or simply peace of mind, all of which make Grenada a compelling proposition for prospective applicants. Our new brand represents our promise to our clients, our stakeholders, and the public that will continue to offer investment migration pathways that are rooted in integrity, security, and prosperity.